Hello everyone, Buenos Dias, Buenas Tardes, or Buenas Noches, depending what time you're watching this video or where you're located at. I don't know about you guys, but it is super windy and cold where I live, hence gloves. But I need my fingers, free to type and be at my desk and do all the stuff. But I want my YouTube channel to be more than just makeup, skincare, hair care type of situations. I also want to have conversations on topics that I think other people might relate to. I don't know. We'll see how this goes. This is the first one I'm going to be doing. It's 2025, trying something new. We'll see how it goes. I have my notes in front of me, so I'll probably be putting my glasses on and off or trying to read it. I think I should be okay with my notebook, but I have my matcha tea, which I'm drinking matcha without milk for the first time today, so we'll see how it goes. It actually tastes pretty good. It just feels like a tea. Trying new things in 2025 and getting the hang of it or trying to put myself out there out of my comfort zone, and I hope it's very well received, especially with a topic as getting laid off or navigating a layoff. That's something that has happened to me twice already, and I just want to share my experiences, how the first layoff differs from the second layoff, my mindset in both of them, and try to see if it resonates with you all, and share and hear about your experiences as well, because I believe in community. And this is such a heavy topic that I might need to take a break or might shed a tear. Like, I don't know. Like, it's a traumatic experience. All right, so just for reference, I am first generation Latina, daughter of immigrant parents. Well, mother from Guatemala. Was born in the US, and I'm the first in my family, if not the only one, who is working in corporate America. Let me take a sip before we get into this. So, yes, I entered corporate America even before I graduated from university, from a 4-year college, because my school helped me get internships at entertainment companies, because I was part of in a 1-year program that gave assistance to that. And I feel so blessed that I was able to find such resources, because as a first generation, first in the family to go to college and live the American dream that your parents want, I didn't know where to start. Who do I connect with to make this happen? At my school, at Santa Monica College and Cal State Northridge, I was able to connect with people who provided these resources and connections. I was doing internship after internship until one of those internships turned into a full-time job eventually, even before I graduated from a 4-year university. So I was early in my 20s, living the big girl dream, and I thought I had my life figured out already. I was making my mama proud. Everywhere I go, my friends would be like, this is Jennifer and she works at this company. This is even my own mom, my daughter Jennifer, and she works at this company. It was a big company within the Spanish television realm area, right? Because I wanted to work in Spanish entertainment, Spanish television, because me and my mom always bonded watching telenovelas, just to keep it short and trying to get to the point of the layoffs. But yeah, so I was working for this company for 3 years, coordinating the events with local organizations, taking the brand to the community, having meet and greets with the talent and the novela artist and stuff like that. So early 20s. Like I was, this is my first big girl job. This was the job where I was putting all my time, effort, energy in school to make this happen. That was the end goal. That's what I thought was going to make my mom proud, and I was living the dream. But company restructures happen, something that they don't tell you about this in college. I got impacted by my first layoff ever in my early 20s. And when I tell you that this is the first time I experienced anxiety and imposter syndrome, it it flipped my world upside down. I didn't know who Jennifer was without this job. My identity was so tied to this job, to this company, that if you took Jennifer out of that role, I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what I liked. I didn't know anything about myself besides being good at doing that job. Especially in the Latino culture, you know, you work hard, you get rewarded, you stay quiet, you do the job, you get paid, and you move on. It was the hardest thing that I've ever had to go through, especially being first generation, first to make it happen, first to experience corporate America, and navigating post layoff. It was it was a whirlwind of emotions. That was probably one of the most traumatic experiences I've ever felt professionally, that I shut myself out from the world because I didn't know how to cope. I didn't know what I was feeling. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know where to go from here. It's like nobody tells you, and I don't think anybody can show you how to navigate such emotion when you're going through it, because everyone's experiences is going to be different, that's for sure, because it's all going to depend as who you are as a person, what area in your life you're in, if you have a support system, that like all those factors you have to take into account. But at the time, I had already moved in with my boyfriend, who is now my husband. We were already living together, but after getting laid off, I felt so much shame, so much guilt, because why me? Why did this happen to me? I didn't understand it because like probably like 2 months before the layoff, I received an award saying that I was killing it and doing a good job at my job. So things will things weren't clicking when it happened. And the way that it happened, the actual layoff, that was a trauma within itself. Getting called into HR face to face, telling me I was let go, and I wasn't even allowed to go back to my desk to say bye to my coworkers. I arrived to my cubicle that morning. I got called into HR right away. I wasn't even allowed to turn on my computer, nothing like that. And immediately you're let go. This is your severance package folder. You have to exit the building. And I got escorted out to my car, and I was like, I felt like I was a criminal. Like, what is going on? So that in itself was like, what? What? So that added an additional layer as to like, what did I do? How is this my fault? What could I have done differently, right? But I shut everyone out. I distanced myself from my friends, from my families. I was ashamed to look at my mom in the eye because I felt like somehow I let her down, which is like the worst feeling that that you that you could experience. as a daughter of immigrants, because they sacrifice so much to come to the United States and give you a better life, and they're living through you. They came here so you can have big dreams, so you can have a better life, better benefits, um, a retirement plan, something that they don't have. Just give me a second. But yeah, that was the first layoff. I mean, now I can reflect on that experience and talk about it, and it still hurts, but I'm in a better position, in a better place right now. So I can share with you the things I wish I knew when that layoff happened, because that was the most traumatic one, because it was the first one. It's the first time I experienced anxiety and imposter syndrome. I felt ashamed and guilty because it happened to me, and I didn't have anybody that could help me guide me through it, or anything like that, because none of my friends were in corporate America. My mom, she has no idea what's going on. I had my boyfriend, now husband, but there's only so much that your partner can say and do, because most of it's internal work. It's your own emotions, your own thoughts, trying to navigate. I went into a hardcore depression because I was so lost, so confused. I felt defeated. My self-esteem was up here when I was at the job. I went to college, was an honor roll student, got those internships, got the dream job that I really wanted, and I felt like I can achieve anything that I set my mind to it, because that was my track record, right? That happened, and my self-esteem just went out the door. We don't know her. Um, I felt like I was isolated, just digging a hole and burying myself in it. And I couldn't see past the guilt, the shame, the sadness, the confusion. Like, I was just stuck there. And no matter what anybody said to me, I couldn't see the bright light or the end of the tunnel, because because I just couldn't. So, yeah, I'll just walk you through the things I wish I knew now that that has happened, and now that I'm navigating my second layoff. Um, Hopefully this helps you, or you can let me know if you relate to this as well. So, the first thing I wish someone had told me is to not take it personally, because business is business, and you are just a number, a seat at the table, and all your contributions, all your achievements to this job for this company, it can go away in the snap of a finger, and you are replaceable. And that's the sad part. And it's hard to not take it personally, because you put your sweat, tears, soul into a job, and they can just say bye. But I think now, in my jobs after that one, I've been able to divide Jenny at work and Jenny outside of work. So, not make my job my whole self. right? Or don't give my whole self to a job. That's something that I learned. That way, if it happened again, which it did, I still, my identity wasn't tied to it. I was still good with myself, regardless it happening again. Maybe it's the age, maybe it's because I had already experienced it before and navigated and went through it. But yes, don't take it personally. And it's the hardest thing to do because you always ask, why me? What did I do wrong? And sometimes you never do anything wrong. It's just there's a recession, a company got acquired by someone else, restructures happened, new leadership came in. Like you just tons of reasons. And it probably wasn't your fault. So yeah, don't take it personally. The second thing that I would have loved someone to tell me is that it's okay to grieve and reflect during that experience. During a layoff, you can grieve the loss of the job, the loss of the routine, the loss of probably even your coworkers. Because although they're not family, there's some friendships that you care for from that job, right? There's certain relationships that you carry over, if that makes any sense. But the grief, there is grief after a job loss, because regardless, it is a loss. And I didn't know how to process that. And yeah, just you just have to give yourself time, and there's no there's no amount of time that I can say give yourself 2 weeks, 1 month, 3 months. Like I can't say that because it's your own experience. And for me, from that first layoff, it probably took me 2 years to be comfortable with myself again, because feelings come up, triggers come up. So it's all in your time, but you have to go through the feelings, go through the emotions, go through the thoughts, and try to make sense of it and move past it, move forward. Otherwise, you're just going to stay stuck there, and that is not a healthy place to be in. Never. And yeah, that's what I can say. The second thing is give yourself time to grieve and reflect. This is also the time where you can reflect as is, these are the good things about the job that I want to find in the next one, and these are the bad things about that job that I want to avoid as I move forward, right? Or even changing careers, changing job titles, um, maybe relocating somewhere. Like, I don't know, like there are so many things that you can reflect on that you should take the time to go through the feelings, go through the emotions, and think, okay, where do I go from here? What are my pros, my cons? What are the things that I need to put into place right now to, move towards the direction that I want to go? And it's not easy, and it takes time. So it's easier said than done, but this is the advice that I can offer right now. The third thing that I would love someone had told me was, don't go through it alone. Please. I isolated myself from the world, from my close relationships. Honestly, I didn't stop talking to my boyfriend, now husband, because we lived together. If we hadn't lived together, I probably would have stopped talking to him because I was in such a rough spot and I didn't have the mental capacity or the emotional availability. But he still showed up for me. He still encouraged me. He didn't pressure me to, you know, find the next easy job. He's like, no, you went to school, take your time to find the next thing. And thank God we were living in a place where it didn't charge us enough rent. We were like renting a small studio and we were able to live off of his income at that time. Obviously we had to sacrifice, make a budget, cut things out temporarily, and just make it work with his salary for that time, right? And that's something that we're still doing right now in this second layoff, living off of his salary with my unemployment. But we had to cut subscriptions, do a budget specific, do a monthly budget for our expenses, for our food, and you know, try to maximize. And we had a savings account that, thank God, we were smart about that. But yeah, don't go through it alone. Find your support system, whether that's your family, your close friends, uh, peers, keeping in touch with others who got affected by the layoff as well, joining community organizations, whether it's in your field of work or just your local church area. Like, I don't know, like, but don't distance yourself from people who care about you. Don't experience this process by yourself. So I don't know who the people in your life might be, but have your support system. For me, even though I didn't want it, it ended up being my husband. He was there for me, ride or die. And although, like I said, there's not a lot that he could say or do, he stuck with me and helped me through the process. My dog is the one that actually got me out of bed because, she needed to go to the restroom. I had to get out of bed to take her outside. I need to take her out on her, daily walks. I got out of bed for that. I had to feed her. I had to play with her. Like, my dog Fia does not know how much she means to me because she stayed at home with me during that dark time in my life. Like, my husband would go to work and then I would just be by myself in our little studio with my feelings, my emotions, my confusion, and she was there. So she made me get out of bed. And then also I found a community of Latina professionals that kind of helped me get through it, because I realized that I wasn't alone. I realized that other Latina professionals had gone through it and now they're here. So I had a reference point like, oh my God, she got laid off X amount of years, but now she's there and that's where I want to go. That's where I want to be. Or I had some of them say, girl, I've been there. I completely understand what you're going through, what you're feeling. The moment you have someone tell you, I know what you're going through, I am here for you, life changer. Life changer. So you have to find that community, that support system. Even if you have to create it for yourself, you have to go out and find it. Because the worst thing is going through something like this by yourself. And the fourth thing I wish someone had told me or that I would like to include in this is talk about it. Talk about your experience getting laid off, going through the job search, feeling those emotions, being vulnerable. Obviously, find the people that you feel safe and comfortable talking about it and sharing those experiences with. But the less you're in your head, the more you verbalize, it makes it less scary, less daunting, less heavy. Because if you're just saying it in your head and you're stuck in your head and you're feeling the emotions in your soul and in your mind, it feels 100 times worse than when you say it out loud. Because to me, when I talked about it, it felt like I was letting it out. I was letting go of it. So talk about it. And the more you talk about it and share with people, often than not, there's always going to be one person in the room that's going to connect, that's going to relate, and that's probably going to thank you for sharing that experience because they might be going through it. You might be 6 months into the layoff and someone probably just got laid off yesterday. You are 6 months ahead of the journey than they are, so they need to hear what you have to say. And that's what I can say about it, because it has happened to me. It has happened to me where I talk about my experiences when I get invited to events, when I'm moderating an event or something like that. I'm vulnerable and I talk about it, especially if I'm at an event with other Latinas. Sometimes we just end up crying because it's such an emotional toll. And I share my tips, or I'm sharing with them what I'm sharing with you, and they're like, I needed to hear this. Thank you. Thank you. I was stuck, but now I have some sort of clarity or direction, or at least I know I'm not alone, right? And that's just a relief and a peace of mind that you can get through it and you don't have to go through it alone. So talk about it. Talk about it. Now I would probably like to compare or the lessons learned from my first layoff into my second layoff. I'm trying to get my thoughts in order. All right, so I already shared briefly what my first layoff experience was. My second layoff, I had a remote job. I was working at a nonprofit for a community of Latina professionals, so providing resources for Latinas who wanted to break into tech or who were already in tech and we're trying to level up. So I was doing marketing for that, for a community of Latinas, which is like another dream job, right? Like I love that community. The nonprofit is still around. It's just we got affected by a layoff and I was part of it. And it did hurt because I love the community so much, but I've made so many connections from that job. I've met so many people that my mindset was different from that first layoff. One, because like I said before, I ensured that although I loved my job and I loved the community and I poured my heart and soul to what I was doing for the organization and for the resources we provided to the Latinas, I also made sure that I had a life outside of that job. So it hurt, but I wasn't in a place where my identity had a crisis, where my mental space was like, who the hell am I? nothing like that, right? It's completely different experience. Like I said, I've made so many connections, and obviously with the years you grow a little bit, you mature a little bit more. And I had my first layoff as a references, and I knew I wanted to do things differently this time around with this layoff as well. From my first layoff, I learned that I had to network, because that was the hardest part into getting my next job from my first layoff. Even though I was within the entertainment industry, I was still in my small bubble. I wasn't putting myself out there to connect with more people, to meet new people in other businesses and other areas of businesses, that I could potentially build a relationship with, and who can refer me to jobs or keep an eye out for me, or talk on my behalf and provide a recommendation or whatnot, whatever that looks like, right? I was living the dream in that first dream job, but I was still in a closed bubble. I didn't network besides the people I worked with. You have to network and create relationships outside of your job. So that's the one lesson that I learned from my first layoff. So as I got hired and moved to other companies, I ensured that I wasn't only just talking to my coworkers and my colleagues, I was also building relationships outside of work, meeting new people outside of work, and talking to other people about my work, about who I was, right? I mean, talking about myself, it's kind of it's kind of hard, because I don't want to feel like I'm bragging about myself or whatever. But yes, you have to make sure to meet other people outside of your friendships, outside of your close relationships, outside of your job and your work in your company. You have to meet other people, and you can use professional organizations. You could stay in touch with people from like school that you went to. You can attend events and meet people that way. But yes, that's the thing that I learned from my first layoff. You have to network, you have to expand your relationships. And I did. So I think that's why the second layoff didn't feel as heavy, because I knew that regardless if it was going to take me time to find my next job, right now I have people texting me, sending me emails, sending me messages through LinkedIn, checking up on me, sending me job links that they've seen, chatting with me, providing me resources of things they see or hear about. And it's such a beautiful thing just to have people on your side and people who are thinking of you. It's just a beautiful feeling. It's a beautiful feeling, because even though it's hard and it's still a struggle, and it still tests your emotions, your self-esteem, imposter syndrome still kicks in, but it's less heavy, because I have people I can reach out to. This second layoff, I've connected with other job seekers, with other people who have been impacted by layoffs last year as well. And I have like a job search group that I meet with them on a weekly basis, and we vent, we provide resources, we share events that we learned with each other. We cry with one another if we need to, and we motivate each other. We help each other prepare for an interview or whatever it is that week requires from us for each other. That's what we do. And such a beautiful feeling, because I look forward to those conversations. And sometimes I just provide my feedback, or I ask for feedback, and it's such a beautiful feeling to have those kind of relationships in your life. Oh my God, I lost my train of thought. What was I saying? Oh, yeah. So now the lesson that I learned from this second layoff is work on your personal brand. I'm a marketer. I help companies spread the word, create awareness about products or services, programs or resources, even events, that the company puts together. Like, I help spread the word. I promote those initiatives. I create campaigns for that, right? So you would think that as a marketer, I would be okay and fine marketing myself as the product and service. But you would be wrong. It is so hard to talk about myself to other people, but I have to. You have to. I think it was, my Latina culture where like calladita te ves más bonita, don't raise your voice, don't share too much about yourself, because people are going to judge, el quien dirán, and that type of mentality just kind of made me shell myself. And if I would talk about my achievements, I would always say, the company launched this, the company gained that, my team achieved this, which, yes, that's all good and that's all fine, but you have to put it in a way where I help the company achieve this. I led the team to do that. Like, you first, because that's what's going to build your credibility. And that's what people is going to like, oh, this person is my go-to because she helped them do this. She created that, and then that came afterwards. Like, does that make any sense? And that's something that I learned this time around. It's like, oh, I have to put myself out there as to what I'm doing, what I want to do, instead of like the company, the project, the campaign, like multiple people are working on all that. But I have to give value to my portion, my area of expertise, if that makes any sense. I'm still struggling with this. But that's a lesson that I learned and that I'm trying to navigate and I'm trying to put into place and try to call myself out as like, Jennifer, this is what you said you were going to do. Do it. Keeping myself accountable to talk about myself and create my own personal brand on a professional level. As a marketer, as a first generation Latina in corporate America, how do I want my LinkedIn followers, my professional network to see me as Jennifer myself, right? I hope this makes sense. I hope this helps you. If you have anything else to add to this, please share it in the comments below because it's a heavy topic. My first layoff happened in 2015. So it's going to be almost 10 years ago. Oh my God, I just realized it. Wow. And my second layoff happened last year in July. I'm like 7 months into the job search, into navigating my second layoff. Definitely in a better mental space, but it's still a struggle. The job market right now, it is crazy. The horror stories that I hear from my LinkedIn network and my LinkedIn connections and people posting about their own job search experience, and this job market is insane. It will test you, and if it can, it will break you. So I'm just trying to stay positive. I'm trying to continue networking with my current relationships, build new relationships, meet new people, try to remind myself of all the things that I've done, achieved, and accomplished in my past roles, how I made all that happen, to remind myself that I have worth, I have value, and I deserve, the next best thing. I'm on the search for my third dream job, which as a first generation, I never thought that that was even possible. For my first dream job that I got laid off from, I worked with a company which I learned so much. I gained new marketing skills. It was a whole other industry. I broke into tech from that second job, but it wasn't something that I was passionate about, that motivated me, that made me get excited to get out of bed, right? As in my third job, which was the one I got laid off again. Like that one, I was excited. Like my mind was going with new ideas, with new initiatives. Like, oh my God, I'm excited for this. I want to do this. I want to do more. There's not enough time for me to do everything, but I want to do everything, right? So I'm in the search for my third dream job. I don't know if that's going to be my next role or another role down the line, but that's where I'm aiming. That's where I want to go, because I want to follow that feeling, as I want to enjoy the job that I do and the people that I work with. Like I want to be optimistic. I want to believe that that is out there for me, right? But also creating those boundaries to protect myself and keep the work Jenny and the personal Jenny separate. Oh my God. It's just so hard. It is just so hard. And I hope this makes sense. I hope this teaches you something or helps you get to a better place. But this video is already getting longer than I was expecting it to. But then again, once I start talking about a personal experience that I feel passionate about and I relate so much, and an emotional journey that I went through, like I can talk on and on and on. So, I mean, I can always record another video if there's more questions, or we talk about it in the comments and stuff like that. Happy to do it. Yes, just wanted to share some lessons learned from my layoffs and share how my first layoff and my second layoff are different. I'm gonna end it up here because I'm already feeling a little bit heavy and I need to get back into it. And it's after the holidays. I need to get back into the routine of job searching, networking, applying to jobs, preparing for interviews. But it's gonna happen. I believe it's gonna happen. When? I don't know. But it's going to happen. It has to. It has to. All right. So I'm gonna wrap it up here. Thank you so much for tuning in, for watching, and just for being here. So this is what I want my channel to be. I love talking about makeup, skincare, hair care, but I want to have these type of real conversations and talk as well. And hopefully it's okay with you guys. Buenos Dias, Buenas Tardes, or Buenas Noches, depending what time you're watching this video or where you're located at. And I'll see you on the next video. Besitos.